morning. Happy day 18 of Vlogmas. I'm starting my day out with coffee, a lot of coffee, and a lot of video editing. I was never able to get yesterday's podcasts, either part A or part B, edited yet. And I still have to do Vlogmas day 17, which honestly, I don't know that there's a lot of that either, since so much of yesterday was spent just trying to do the regular podcast. But I'm going to try to put it all together. The editing's just taking a while. I imagine I'll be sitting here for the next couple of hours doing this. As I've been working through the podcast, I've also been working on weaving in ends on the Mammoth Afghan. There's my little pile of end snibbles so far. It's coming along. I did start doing it with the crochet hook, and that worked okay. It was just slow. So I've been doing it with a tapestry needle. It's one of the ones that has a larger hole, and I can smush the yarn through there most times, so that goes a lot faster, even if it does take me a little bit of time to get it through the eye of the needle. Well, I'm still sitting here at the dining room table, processing, editing. I haven't gotten to processing yet. Editing, podcast, footage, still. It's now 10:15. I started this around 5 o'clock when my husband left for work, so yeah. My lists that I made yesterday, my lists and schedules for my week, basically are already defunct because I wasn't planning on this taking quite as long. Plus, my husband has his work, Christmas, whatever they do at work during the day, and it's tomorrow, and I knew he wanted me to make something, which is fine. I'm always happy to do that, but he really hadn't been specific on what he needed because I guess they're doing it with another department this year or something. So I said, hey, why don't you text me first thing tomorrow morning and let me know, ask somebody what's going on and let me know what you want me to make. So he texted me about an hour ago. And long story short, he's like, cookies would probably be best. So I said, okay, that's fine. I want to bake some Christmas cookies anyway, so I can do that. So I guess I'll be baking Christmas cookies today. That was not actually on today's agenda, but it's okay. I'm fine with that. This week I did plan sort of to be fluid, I had plans, but I knew they probably weren't going to work out completely. So today I will do some baking. And I decided, since I'm obviously not going to be dyeing today, I would do laundry. So I have a load of laundry in, and yeah. So now I'm going to sit down, I'm going to heat some coffee up, and I have a couple cookies that our neighbor brought over for last week, so I'm still eating those. Mid-morning fortification, you have to have that occasionally. So it will be a very productive day. It's just not going to be productive in the ways that I was anticipating it being productive today. I may also try to fix those curtains. You remember me showing you the valances for that back bedroom? I might try to do those today too. That would be good to get that done. And I'm really, really close to getting all of the stuff organized in the office and that back room so that it'll be, the space will be available for my mom and Roy when they come up. All the boxes I've been cleaning out have given the cats new places to just curl up, and Babette has successfully found a perfectly cat-sized box. It was so funny. She was in it last evening, but you couldn't see her from floor level, and so Tippy came over and she was going to jump in the box, but she got partway up with her paws on the edge, and Babette popped up and she's like, what are you doing? This is my box. Go away. and Tippy just kind of sat there like, aw. All right, the one large valance has been successfully dissected, or bisected, I guess, into two smaller valances, and it really worked perfectly. And I'll tell you a little secret, I did not bother finishing the edges, the left and the right edges. They're just raw. If anybody wants to look that closely, and my mother may, I don't really care, because they're not going to be permanent, I don't think, although I really like them, so they may end up being that way. I did shorten them, like I folded the casing part over once so that they're a little shorter. They do definitely make the room seem a little darker, but not significantly. This room's dark to begin with because it never gets direct sunlight. It's on the northwest corner of the house. But yeah, I really like how they look. They look way better than those horrible 90-year-old Victorian grandma curtains that were in here. Okay, so while I had the sewing machine out, I decided to do a couple of other quick sewing projects that I've been thinking about doing. The first one was to make some pouches to put my ice packs in. I use an ice pack on my lower back, often just like first thing in the morning and then like while we're sitting at dinner, because that's usually when my back hurts the most. But I usually just wrap it in a dish towel because I learned the hard way, if you put this just directly on your back, even with your clothes on, you will like freeze yourself to the point of damaging your skin. Shouldn't do that. So anyway, my daughter had this Snuggie when she was a teenager, and when she moved out, she decided she didn't want it anymore, so I've been pushing it around. So I repurposed it. I cut it up and I made 4 ice pack cozies, I guess, because I actually have 4 of these ice packs. I don't imagine I'll ever be using all 4 of them at one time, but my husband also uses them on his shoulders sometimes, and my mom's coming up and I know her hip's bothering her, so who knows how many ice packs we'll be using. Maybe I'll send one home with her and she can have a really cool skull ice pack cozy too. And then on the opposite end of the temperature spectrum is this heating pad. Okay, now I'm not gonna lie, this heating pad is probably older than I am. It was my parents', and it's probably a hazard and might catch people on fire, but I like it and I've used it, but most recently Bill's been using it on his shoulder at night while he sleeps because it keeps it from getting really stiff. And it has been wrapped up in this old flannel receiving blanket. It's just, that's what it's been in. There used to be a flannel pouch for it. It disappeared long ago. So I just had it wrapped in that and secured with these 2 safety pins. The diaper pin actually worked pretty well, but this one was too small and it would like pop open and then poke you at the worst times while you had the heating pad on you. So I have been for a long time meaning to make a new pouch for it. So I was just going to cut up that receiving blanket and do it and then put like buttons on one end to close it because I didn't want to have to deal with Velcro. But then I had this brainstorm of, I've got a pile of Bill's old flannel shirts that he doesn't wear anymore. I saved them because I thought, well, you know, I can repurpose them and use them for projects. And I'm going to make a heating pad cover out of this one. And I realized I can just reuse the button bands off of this. And I won't even have to do buttonholes or sew on buttons if I play my cards right. So I have a plan and we'll see how that actually works out. So stay tuned. Okay, so here's what I've done so far. I cut out the back part of the shirt from about armpit down to the bottom and from side seam to side seam. So I've got this nice rectangular piece of fabric, which is actually about the correct size I need when I fold it over to make the right size pouch for the heating pad. And when this was not a shirt that had tails, it was already straight across the back, so I didn't have to do anything down there. And then I cut off the band with the buttons and the band with the buttonholes. So now I'm going to figure out how much of each of those I need. I'm going to sew those 2 together so that when they're folded in half, they will be the same width as the fabric. So the button half will go on one side, the whole half will go on the other side. The buttons and holes have to match up, I realize. So I'll probably actually attach those before I do that. And then I will sew this to like right sides together to the top edge of this, I think. Oh no, I'm going to do that to the I'll do the bottom edge since this is already a hemmed edge, although I guess it really doesn't matter since I'm going to be doing this and I'll have a hemmed edge anyway. It might be better to do it up at the top since there's not as much fabric. It's not folded over here. Yeah, I'll do that, and then I will fold it over and do a seam on the side and the bottom to close it up. And I think that should be all I need to do. That seems really easy. I should probably also iron it, but you know what? I probably won't because this is supposed to be a fast and easy project and ironing does not factor into that. All right, it's getting real here. I did have to break out the ironing board. I even had to break out my pins. This is like real sewing or something, but I think I have it figured out. I had things turned around a little bit. This is not as easy as putting right sides together because you actually need the button, this part of the buttons to be, I don't know. I can't even verbalize it, but I have it figured out. I just have to not think about it. Ta-da! It's done. It worked perfectly. I mean, it just fits. Like if the fabric had been a little wider, that would have been good, but it just fits. It fits just fine. And bonus, no safety pins to jab you in the middle of the night. The buttons worked out perfectly. I'm so glad I figured that out before I set about trying to make something. And look, I don't even need to iron it. Well, I did iron it, so I was going to say I don't need to iron it because it's stretched out, but technically I did iron it. So yeah, it worked out great. I am so proud of myself. I love it when I get clever like that. Threads. So anyway, cool. Now I'm going to take it apart. Well, I'm going to unbutton it. I need to trim my seams a little bit. And I'm going to go find some duct tape to put over the places where the plastic's cracked, because that's legit. And you know, I'm sitting here talking about making heating pad covers and ice pack cozies for my husband's bad shoulder and my bad back. You would think we were really old people, wouldn't ya? Next thing you know, I'm going to be sewing like covers to put over our Depends or something. Probably not. Not anytime soon, though. I hope. And for those playing at home, the podcasts are still processing. So, Bill needs cookies to take to work tomorrow for his Christmas thing. So, I'm baking cookies. Those are shortbread, which are one of my favorite Christmas cookies to bake. And I'm about to mix up a batch of cranberry walnut cookies. Whoops, here's the other ones that still have to go in the oven. Cranberry walnut cookies with a recipe from Rebecca from Dusty Tree that she gave me last year. They're super good. So I'm hoping to get one more batch made after that. We'll see how that goes. So I decided to do a third batch, which is a new recipe that I've never made before. They're called gingerbread snowballs. I think this is the same recipe somebody on Instagram shared the other day. I can't be 100% sure, but it looks familiar, so I'm going with it. I don't know how they'll turn out, but it says you're supposed to get 48 cookies. I didn't even get 36. I was like too short. I'm not really sure what's going on there. I'm also not sure what's going on with my cookies. My shortbread, it tastes okay, but it's tough, and I'm not sure. I've never had shortbread turn out tough. They taste okay, their texture is just odd. So I'm not sure what's up there. These turned out okay. These cranberry walnut ones. Well, cranberry pecan. But they have a strange undertaste to them, and I think it's from my margarine. I don't always cook with margarine, but sometimes I make my Christmas cookies with margarine. And I had some in the freezer, so I got it out. But I'm wondering if maybe it was just too old. Like, does margarine go bad in the freezer? I don't even know. I threw the rest of it away. I'm not going to use it. I mean, they're not bad. Like, they're totally edible. My husband thinks they taste fine. But they just, again, they didn't turn out quite right. So I'm not feeling uber confident over this third batch, although so far they're cooking okay. They're baking okay. Our oven is really weird. It bakes way hotter in the back than in the front. And I don't know. I should probably have just taken everything downstairs and baked it in my dying oven, which is new. So we'll see how these turn out, but at least I'll have some cookies to take to work with them, and hopefully people won't think they're gross and disgusting. I really like baking Christmas cookies.